So the base layer of today's outfit consists of a modern t-shirt and long johns, as I don't have historically accurate Regency underthings yet. I then put on a pair of wool stockings. These would have been very common and knitted in the home. I then put on a set of Regency short stays and added a bodice and drawstring petticoat underneath. I added a fichu to fill in the neckline as well and provide an additional layer of warmth, though this wouldn't be warm enough to wear on its own. The dress has 2 drawstrings, one at the waist and one at the chest. It's a pretty roomy dress and it's intended for working class impressions. I braided my hair, taking inspiration from an illustration of French-Canadian habitants in the same time period, and then added my second neck and chest warmth layer, which is a woolen scarf. I then added a woolen working class women's coat. This would have been perfect for any kind of fall or winter work. This version of the outfit would be very appropriate for a warmer winter day. I then added the Canada cap, which I made in the last video, really warm and a documented style from 18th and 19th century Canada. I then added a red woolen cloak, which was also very, very popular for this time period, complemented with a hand-woven tape necktie for the muff, and of course muffs in this time period, also very common. I then covered my hands with a set of woolen mitts, which date back as far as Diderot's Encyclopedia, so documented for this time period as well. So here's the final look, and let's see if it can stand the test. Being if my partner and I can withstand -31 and whose clothes will fare better. So it's been 15 minutes and we're at just a nearby park. So far the coldest parts are just my exposed cheeks and the tops of my ears, but the way that the hat is designed, it actually has a fix for that already. So basically you just take the brim and fold it over your ears. And then basically there you go, and it's covered in fur, so it should keep me warm for the rest of the excursion. So we're at 25 minutes now. I've just put the hood on to kind of mitigate some of the breeze, but thankfully it's not too windy today. Yesterday it was -25, but it was very, very windy, so it actually felt a lot colder than it is right now. So yeah, so far it's going really well. I'm not feeling cold anywhere. Like I said, except for my exposed skin, which does make a lot of sense. So yeah, so far so good.
So I'm wearing modern gear, and I'd hazard I'm actually a bit colder than you because my leg's pretty frozen right now. I've got jeans and a pair of long johns on, but I think your gear is a bit more effective than mine.
And for reference, my gear is a pair of long johns as well because, you know,
Winter in Canada.
Winter in Canada, and then just a pair of really thick wool socks with the cotton dress on top. So clearly something's working. So it's the 30-minute mark, and I'm going to further the experiment by taking off the cape or the cloak and seeing how much of a difference it actually makes. One of my big gripes as a historical costumer is the abundant use of capes. I often find they're a little impractical if you're if you're interpreting a working class person. So that's why I have a coat underneath. So I'm gonna see if the cape actually provides good warmth and wind coverage or not. And I think also one of the reasons why is if you're working with a cape on, the front is totally exposed anyway, so it lets a lot of cold air in. So we'll see if it makes a difference. So the coat that I'm wearing is more of a masculine style working coat. Buttons down the front, pockets, and the sleeve is slightly curved, so I actually have a pretty good range of motion if I'm working. And it's sort of loosely based off of a painting of English women tending to hay in the field. So it's got a basis in working class women's history, but it definitely has a bit more of a masculine cut and appearance. So we're at the 35-minute mark, and definitely within only 5 minutes I can feel a major difference in not wearing the cloak. While, like I said, it's a bit impractical when you're moving around and it lets a lot of air in from the front, it insulates everywhere else. So I'm feeling the cold seep in underneath my sleeves, in the crooks of my arms, at my joints. I'm starting to feel really cold. So interesting result to the experiment. That cloaks definitely do help to insulate, but having an underlayer like a coat was actually really helpful in making sure that the cloak would be able to act as an insulator and not my primary source of warmth. So, total elapsed time outside was 50 minutes.
Yeah.
So just under an hour. And yeah, as soon as I took that cloak off, basically lost all of my body heat and my legs started to get really, really cold.
And that was probably about the 45-minute mark.
Yeah.
And it was the same time I got really darn cold. My legs were frozen, my face started getting really cold. So I think all things considered, I was probably still iller equipped than you.
In contemporary
Yes.
clothing. And you had long johns and a thermal shirt.
Yep.
So I actually think that my perceptions were challenged a lot. I wasn't expecting to be as warm as I was. So that was actually a really cool feeling by the time we were closing up the experiment and heading home. That, yeah, I felt like all my gear actually worked pretty good, and the long johns were really the only modern thing that I had on.
So with that in mind, I think you're gonna have to build up a historic winter look for me.
Yeah, you're next. So I have a few theories about the long john situation that I'll probably talk about in depth in another video, just looking at theorizing about winter clothing when we don't have a ton of sources for that. So look forward to that, because I have a couple thoughts. But otherwise, I'd say successful experiment. I definitely had my expectations and preconceptions challenged a lot. And comparing sort of historical winter gear with modern winter gear ended up being really interesting. And so, thanks for coming along. Thanks for braving the cold. Until next time.